Hello everyone, welcome back to another CJ Talk Sports episode. This is your boy CJ Talk Sports, aka Mr. Christian Jones. Today I'm going to be recapping Game 1 and Game 2 of the NBA Finals. I got it right. No one's going to give me credit on it, but I got it right. I predicted Warriors versus Celtics in the finals, and yet here we are. I'm going to give you my predictions as well as my recap for these first two games. Starting off with Game 1. I gave the Celtics a fair enough shot as far as pulling off this series just because of the Celtics' versatility on the defensive side of the ball, their abilities to play big, to play small, to switch everything, to guard the pick and roll, as well as any other team. But the Warriors, I knew coming into this series, were easily, far away, the best offense that we're going to see all year. Their motion offense, their cutting, their driving, their combinations of the pick and roll, finding spot-up shooters. Obviously, Steph is an icon, a top 15 player all time. Don't at me. And so, it was going to be very interesting to see how the Celtics defense game plans against the Golden State Warriors. And one thing that I did not anticipate for them to do was to play a ton of drop coverage. Now, I've gone on and on in other streams about how I feel like the Celtics have the perfect defense to go against what the Warriors do. Because, again, their versatility, their size, their athleticism, the adjustments made by Ime Udoka has been fantastic throughout this series. But one wrinkle that I was not expecting him to do, which greatly disappointed me, was the amount of drop coverage against Steph Curry. Newsflash, and this is not a hot take, Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time. It's not an argument at this point. Why in the ever-living heck would you want to play drop coverage on home? You have, obviously, the reigning defensive player of the year. You have a multitude of defenders with length and athleticism to guard against this Warriors lineup. The last thing you want to do is to be giving Steph Curry as many open looks at the basket as humanly possible. He's the greatest shooter of all time. Don't leave him open for threes. Number 2, and this is where I'm going to get into my recap. No minutes for Daniel Tice. I know Robert Williams is compromised with the knee injury. I know Al Horford is 36 going on 100. No minutes for Daniel Tice. He cannot guard the pick and roll with Steph and Draymond to save his life. The Celtics' best option against this Warriors team, much like the series against Milwaukee, play small. Your best lineup is playing small ball because you have five versatile wing players / bigs that could defend the paint and the perimeter. Al Horford is a solid perimeter defender. Grant Williams is a solid perimeter defender. If it means putting a big on Steph Curry in pick and roll options, I will live with that rather than having him literally kill us from the outside. Now let me real quick get to the offensive side of the floor. Coming into this series, or this matchup rather, this was the first series in which I thought the Celtics had better matchups offensively than I do on defense, because as great as the Warriors are at hiding Steph in pick and roll assignments, even though I must admit he's improved greatly as a perimeter defender, the Celtics just have more options in guys that they could pick on the Warriors than the Warriors do against us. Excuse me. Jordan Poole is not a good defender. Klay Thompson has obviously lost a step, and as great as Andrew Wiggins and Draymond are, because of the path that the Celtics have had to go through to win the East, they've gone through a litany of great perimeter defenders. Drew Holiday, great defender. Wesley Matthews, a really good defender. PJ Tucker, obviously Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Giannis, many others. Because of the Celtics' path on the offensive side of the ball to get through these grueling defenses, and even to a short extent, Brooklyn was a much better defensive team than I ain't giving them credit for, and so it wasn't so much the Warriors' defense striking fear in the Celtics' offense. It was just more about, are the Celtics going to continuously shoot themselves in the foot with the constant turnovers, bad shots, not being in tune with who they are as far as an offensive style goes. The Celtics throughout this year, one of the reasons why I picked them to get to the NBA Finals is because I truly believe that with the growth of Tatum and Brown as facilitators as well as scorers, all around scorers, that they're going to be able to continuously feed off of each other as far as good night or bad nights goes. Anytime Tatum has a bad night, I'm fully confident that Jaylen Brown could pick up the slack. Anytime Jaylen has an off night, I'm fully confident that Jason Tatum, as a superstar caliber player, is more than capable of going toe-to-toe with the best players. He obviously outplayed Kevin Durant, pushed Giannis to the limit, and even gave Jimmy Butler all he could ask for. Steph, on the other hand, is a different animal. But because of our versatility and having more options rather than vice versa is one of the reasons why I basically call this series a pick'em. Now, in the end, to go against my better judgment, I ultimately picked the Warriors to win this series in 7. I figured going to Golden State, we would split that series 1 game apiece. And I anticipated leaving Boston, we would each get a game apiece. And so I just fear that with the Warriors, with the Celtics' lack of experience and that favoring the Warriors, because much like, as I could argue, the Celtics, defensive versatility, their size, their athleticism, could hinder what the Warriors do on offense. The Warriors' offense is so complex, so masterful with their off-ball stuff, the motion offense, Steph just creating plays just because of his sheer gravity and ball handling ability, that he was going to find more holes in the Celtics defense than vice versa. And so it leads me to then going into game 1. Very much a back and forth game throughout the first half. I had said that these two teams were basically evenly matched, and how, because of the Celtics' fortitude, they're battle tested, they're hungry, that they would steal a game on Golden State's home floor. Now, I didn't imagine it being game 1, especially in that fashion, but when the Celtics were only down 12 going into that fourth quarter, after that haymaker that Golden State tried to knock us out with, which, by the way, I knew they were in trouble once I saw we're only a run away from making a game out of this, and then we come back with a haymaker of our own to basically stop the Warriors dead. I'm like, okay, we got the game that we got a game. We stole a game in Golden State. Jason Tatum did not have a great game, even though his playmaking was fantastic. I knew that the only way that the Celtics was going to come away in this series was can their others outplay or at least push what the Warriors bench would do? Because I figure, listen, Otto Porter is gonna have a good game here and there. Iguodala may have a good game here and there, but if we could keep Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson at bay, the only other guy that scares me is Steph. And that's what the Celtics did. They took that Steph Curry punch in the first quarter when he hit 6 threes, and they basically kept him at bay from thereafter. Now game 2, totally different story. Jordan Poole got off. Wiggins still had a very solid game. Draymond was more aggressive on both ends on the floor. And their defense just clamped down all the Celtics role players. Now in no way do I expect Marcus Smart, Al Horford, and Derek White to each score over 20. But if one or two of them could give the Celtics a solid 10 to 15 points to go along with their usual suffocating defense, and for the love of God, no turnovers, I think it's very plausible for the Celtics to come away with this series. I don't think either team is going to win this series in 5 games, or maybe even 6. I see this series going at bare minimum 6, probably 7 games. But again, excuse me. And so, again, Warriors in 7. I think both of these teams are fairly evenly matched. I see both teams each getting a split on each other's home floor. I'm picking Boston to win game 3 tomorrow, just over the sheer fact that they have yet to lose 2 games in a row in these postseason. Warriors, I think there's a possibility that their role players come out a bit flat, and yeah. Before I sub out you guys, please be sure to like and subscribe down below. I'm going to be doing more NBA Finals recaps throughout the rest of the series. You guys are the best. This is CJ Talk Sports signing off, and I'll see you guys next time.